Now let's have a look at the newspapers. Dipti is joining me here on set for that. Dipti starting in Italy today. The murder of an Italian police officer, allegedly, this is anyway, by two young Americans, Dipti.
That's right. Carabinieri Deputy Brigadier Mario Ciacciolo Rega was stabbed 11 times last Friday as he and a fellow plainclothes officer confronted two American tourists over a cocaine deal. The teenage suspects have been jailed in Rome, and the conditions around their detention also sparking controversy, according to the Daily Beast, because a picture of one of the suspects blindfolded in police custody, as you see there, was leaked to the press, and that being blindfolded is completely illegal.
Rega was buried yesterday. It's a service that's really dominating the Italian headlines today, though, isn't it?
That's right. He was buried in his hometown of Somma Vesuviana near Naples yesterday. The last farewell to Ciacciolo Rega, that's what Il Dubbio says on its front page, calling him an everyday hero. This says Italian people continue to demand justice for his death. Another paper, Il Tempo, saying, "Don't stab him a 12th time." I quote, "There is a victim, but everyone seems to be talking about the blindfolded suspect, the alleged assassin." That's on the front of Il Tempo there.
Some murky elements to the case, though, aren't there?
Well, it's certainly what one newspaper, a right-wing paper called Libero, is demanding in its front page today. First of all, how did the alleged killers bring the knife that stabbed that police officer? It's an 18-centimeter blade. Was it brought in, if it is allegedly, again, from the U.S., or was it procured in Italy? Also, the paper says, how is it possible for two experienced police officers to be overcome by, quote, drugged crooks? It doesn't appear as though normal police protocol was followed that day. Why didn't the other police officer, for instance, shoot the suspect who was stabbing Rega? The paper taking aim also at the, quote, idiotic laws in Italy that prevent police officers from using their guns preemptively.
Move on to a different story. US gun laws once again in the spotlight. This is after a fatal shooting at a California festival on Sunday.
That's right. At least 3 people were killed, a dozen injured after the gunman went on a rampage at the Gilroy Charity Garlic Festival in Northern California, killing among others, a 6-year-old boy. This latest incident, proof of how increasingly difficult it is to police outdoor festival events, which by their nature are easily accessible. The Guardian has an interesting article about also the issue with state gun laws in the U.S. The gunman who was shot dead had purchased his weapon in neighboring state Nevada and then carried it illegally across to California, which has some of the strictest, if not the most strictest, gun laws in the U.S. Nevada ranks 25 out of the 50 U.S. states. So several lawmakers now saying that Sunday's incident should be grounds for a federal law to close that cross-state loophole.
And finally from Dipti, Meghan Markle has guest-edited the next issue of British Vogue magazine.
Yeah, and she hasn't pulled any punches with this latest cover dedicated to forces of change, women changing the world. Prince Harry in this edition has interviewed famed primatologist Dr. Jane Goodall. Meghan Markle herself interviewed Michelle Obama. There's Jane Fonda on the cover, as you see there, Nigerian novelist Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, Swedish environmental activist Greta Thunberg, New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, among others. They're the forces of change. FYI, you'll see in that front cover that there is one blank square.
Well, is that for you?
That's for me. I didn't get to send my picture in time, Stuart.
Oh, no, not good enough.
No, it is actually for me, but it is also for you, and it's for each and every reader out there who is also in their own way a force for change, as our Meghan Markle says. But because this is Meghan Markle, and because she has a lot of haters out there, she's been getting backlash for noticeably leaving out her grandmother-in-law, the Queen Elizabeth, from that list. But honestly, who's going to include their grandmother-in-law in a list like that anyway?
That's true. I like the idea of the blank square. Very nicely done, Meghan Markle, editing Vogue. Thank you very much, Dipti with the papers on France 24.